There's two things on the install that I want to talk about. The first one is here. So it says modification to the module. So here they have a hole saw to bore it out. I actually did not even have to do that. So if you look in this photo here, there's this ring right here. This ring sits inside. And so I was actually able to cut this off with just some dikes. I was able to cut it off with just some wiring cutting dikes, and then there's little nubs left, and I was able just to grind them down with my Dremel. So I grinded them down flat, and then the pump slid right in. You don't have to worry about the pump being retained, so it just goes right in. The next part of the another part of the install I want you to pay attention to is the clamps. These clamps are obviously they're fuel clamps, but they do require a specific type of plier, so make sure you have that plier on hand. We obviously work at a shop, so we have that plier. And then finally, the hardest part of the install was this piece right here. This piece right here is the bulkhead fitting, so you have to drill a hole, and they give you the measurements for the drill bit, which is a 13/32, and we had to have that. So we drilled that out, and we set it in, and as you can see, it sits just like that. You kind of have to pick your location. Ours was a little bit further to the center, but pick a location that's flat. The hardest part was getting the metal retaining ring on, and the way that I found it that was the easiest was to actually support the yellow connector upside down with like a block of wood, and then we took a 13mm socket, like a long socket, and we put it on the metal retaining ring with an extension, and we were able to hit it with a hammer. We did that a couple times, and then the metal connector, the metal ring, sat completely flush to the fuel pump basket, and everything sealed up. So you'll know it's completely sealed when the yellow connector will not spin. So we got it in there. The metal, again, the retainer needs to be completely flat, and the yellow connector won't spin, and then you're good to go. So this is the wiring portion of our fuel pump, the brushless fuel pump install. So this is a 2017Z. So the fuel pump connector changed. What we're going to do is we're just going to tap this the pink and black wire. So the pink wire is the power, and then the black is obviously ground. And then we'll wire that up into the Works brushless connector, and then that should give us fuel pump operation. All right, so I have these two wires depinned. We're basically going to join them here. So to depin it, it's really simple. It's take something to pry on each side. There's a rubber seal around here that you're gonna have to remove. So you're gonna remove that piece of rubber, and then on the sides there you can see the tangs. You basically slide something in there. I use my pick tool to pry up on it. Once you pry up on it, you'll look down here and you'll see the two tangs for the pin. So put a little pressure on the back of the wire, and then push down on the tangs with your pick tool, and then it should come right out. Alright, so the way I have it currently tapped is not going to work. Basically what's happening is it's throwing a code for the fuel temperature sensor. It's not a big deal. I don't think the fuel calculations is based off of that, but it does throw a code for it. So basically what it is that this black wire, the ground, is shared on the inside to both the pump and the fuel level. So that's why we're not going to have that sensor is going to throw a code, because it's missing the ground. So we're going to undo this, and this is why earlier I had just kind of wrapped it all up into just tape without removing the pin, just in case something like this happens. So clearly you can see that there's an issue here. So I'm going to throw this pin in, and then we're just going to ground the black wire separately on its own. Alright, so we got it wired up. I don't really like the way I wired it up. I basically wrapped the wires around the pins and just stuck it back in there. The reason why I did that was that way, if it does fail, it's reversible. This car doesn't have a fuel pump relay, like a aftermarket, external one. So we wired up to the factory wiring. I don't know how well that's going to hold up, to be honest with you. We haven't done enough brushless installs to say. But so far, so good. So basically, we're going to make sure that the fuel level is about the same with everything plugged back up, which it is. The car, I think, was already down 2 dots. Now it's down 2 more dots, which makes sense because, the fuel that was in the basket. All right. All right, so this is the white wire off the brushless module. This basically activates high speed. So you can either ground this for full-time high-speed operation, which is totally fine. Normally I wire this up to a switch, so basically like a boost switch. So on EcuTech, which is what we're using on this car, we can actually use it, use an output, and then this will kick on high mode. So we're going to test it for high mode just simply by grounding it. So I'm going to ground it right here. And you may not hear in the video, but there is a definitely change in the speed of the pump. So I don't know if you guys can hear that over the exhaust. So what we're gonna do is just to check it. This is the we've got short-term fuel trim on here, and then we're gonna ground it. And as you can see, the added fuel pressure is causing the short-term fuel trims to try to lean it out some more. I've got the pump unplugged. And then you can see that it's trying to come back down already. So this is definitely all working as intended. Wires don't feel hot or anything like that, so I think we're ready to rock. Just time to clean it up.